Have you ever noticed how your environment affects your ability to relax or experience pleasure? Think about that. All right. Another question for you is, when was the last time you intentionally created a sacred space for yourself? And one more I'm going to throw at you real quick. All right. Have you and your partner ever discussed the importance of where you connect intimately? Yeah, we're going there, right? So, well, tonight we're going to go ahead and address these questions and so much more as we go ahead and move into this area of this episode. So what's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevated Podcast, where your it is your inner tugging and abundance is our reality. I am your host, Christian, and tonight we are continuing our pod series called what? Y'all let me know. Put it in the comment section. If it's your first time, I'll give it to you, right? The pleasure is all mine. Somebody put that out there. The pleasure is all mine. And so we're conversing tonight around the topic location matters. Location matters. All right. So what do you mean by location, Christian? I'm talking about three things in particularly where we're going to go ahead and go with. All right. So the location number one we're going to talk about is where the act takes place. We're talking about environment. All right. Where the act takes place. Some of y'all might want to get a pen and a piece of paper or get your laptop out or something like this, because this is going to be good. Real good. Matter of fact, I'll sip to that. All right. So one, where the act takes place. We're talking about environment. Number two, location number two is the places of touch. So we're talking about physical and emotional. And position, and number three is the position that maximizes pleasure. And you would just have to stick around to see where we go with that one. All right, cool. So let's dive right into this. All right, location number one, where the act takes place. So I asked you the question. Have you ever noticed how your environment affects your ability to relax and experience pleasure? Pleasure. All right. So I want you to know at that point in place right now, as you're thinking about it, you may be comfortable to put it in the chat section. If not, totally cool. We can talk about some of this stuff on the after party after this live recording. But what I want you to know or remember or become aware of is that the physical environment sets the tone for pleasure. Are y'all with me? Okay. The physical environment. So think about that. Think about that far as like whether it's a bedroom or outdoors or just any environment. Like reflect on your favorite like environment for relaxation and intimacy, right? Think about that. Think about like what you see. Think about what you smell. Think about what you hear. Think about the environments and what it does for you. Like, does it put you at a place of like peace? Does it put you at a place of serenity? Does it put you at a place of, comfort? Talk to me, y'all. All right, I see y'all now. I got to go back between some screens. All right, the pleasure is all mine. I see it. The pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine. All right. So thinking about that, what's up? Hey, Jate. Talking to y'all. Y'all shout me out. I'll hit you up. I'll give you a live shout out. All right. So think about that area. Location. Think about that. All right. Location. Processing that. Have you ever thought about that? If you have, say, yes, I've thought about it. If you said, nah, but this sounds interesting, so let's continue with the conversation, then that's good. Like, what do you see when you think about that cozy space? Like, so that's the area, like personally thinking about that. If we go to an area of more spiritual side, have you reflected on how energy of a space affects the spiritual connection and how that relates to pleasure? All right. So Lanisha and I always tell our clients, do not argue in the bedroom. All right. Why would we say not to argue in the bedroom? I give some of y'all some opportunities to go ahead and put something like that in the comment section, chat section pertaining to that. But why do you think we would say don't argue in the bedroom? Just think about that. Think about the area of environment. Think about what's released there. Think about words. I just told you that. Think about feelings. Think about the feeling tone. Think about how you're operating and what you release in there. So if you're in a place where, what does the bedroom represent? Somebody put that out there. All right. Somebody say it out loud. You can put in the comment section. What does the bedroom represent? All right. I'll read some of those things as you put it out there. But as you're thinking about that, so bedroom represents love. All right. It can represent intimacy. It can represent passion. It can represent peace, comfort, all those things. So if we're in an area of arguing, then what are we releasing in that bedroom? Right. Are you with me? Corlin says it should be a place of intimacy, a place of peace, a safe place. 100% sis. I 100% agree with that. So if you are releasing lower vibratory words, thoughts, or feelings in that space, how is that going to affect your experience of pleasure? If that's the place where you are resting, if that's the place where you're making love, if that's the place where you're whatever is going on in that place right there, we even say sometimes, and we don't always pass the test with this one, don't necessarily do business or work there, right? So being very careful about what that represents, because you want things to be there that will connect you. And again, intimacy, love, all these things are spiritual things. These are from the divine. These are from God. These are from source. These are from presence. These are from life. So all these things, they come together to realize that. So as you're processing those things, think about what you're releasing. Have you ever gone into a place and you ain't say a word? But you go in there and you feel like, oh, it's heavy in here, right? Because there's been some type of vibratory space or there's been some type of words release. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so we're releasing these words and you can tell, I don't know necessarily what it is, but something in this area is just like maybe you've been in an area where you do a lot of praying or meditating or reflecting and you might realize that that's more higher vibes that is in that area. You go into that place and you're like, okay, this is a place of peace. This is a place of love, right? Anybody who's been in our home, you get on our room and in our living room and our couch, not just the couch, but it happened before we are where we are now. People fall asleep. They get blankets. Matter of fact, we have blankets for people because we realize that in our home, it's a place that is the absence of warfare. It's a place of peace. So people feel comfortable to go ahead and lay down. And those of you who have had the opportunity, well, amen that and see that as well, right? So you got to think about that. As a matter of fact, even dealing with the area of intimacy or your house or your business or whatever, think about what is the experience of pleasure that is currently in your home, currently in your rooms, currently in your vehicle, currently in your church, currently in wherever, the family or whatever it is that you're thinking about. Think about that. What is it now? What do you want it to be? And if it's not at the vibration where you want it to be or where you want it to go ahead I just said it to be, then what could you do to shift that? I can remember when I first started doing some work for a ministry in our area. And when I sat there, I asked the executive director, I said, what is the atmosphere that you want here? Corlin, I seen that. That'd be out. What is the atmosphere that you want in here? And so we had a conversation. And this might be good too for you as a business owner, for you and your family. Maybe you can sit there and say, what when we come at home, what is this? Right. And so he was telling me, I want this to be a place of productivity. I want this to be a place of peace and like a welcoming environment. Right. So I'm like, okay, cool, because I had to think of an area of customer service for this ministry. And so I'm thinking about it. And lo and behold, when you go into this ministry, you sense those things because we intentionally worked on when you come in, what are you feeling? Right. Because and you can even we can go so many places with this, but you can think about how smell plays a role in there. Do you realize that there's branding in certain places you go that they have fragrances that are just released and pushed out in there. You go to a hotel, you go to a gym, you go to various places. They have certain fragrances that already put your mind at ease. Or some places may have a fragrance that make you want to go ahead and shop, right? Some places may have a fragrance that make you want to eat. So what is it that you are having? What are you putting out there? Candles can help shift that, right? I asked you what can shift. Candles can help shift it. Incense can help shift it. Prayer can help shift it. Words can help shift there. So if you're finding out, okay, I want my house, I want my business, I want my bedroom, I want my office to be this, but I'm not feeling that, think about what you can do. Pray, meditate. You can spend time in there. You can create new memories in there, right? Maybe your bedroom has been a place of arguments and this place of this and this. And so when you come in there, it's not a place where you feel like it's an area of love. Maybe it's not clean and you don't even want to be in that area because it just represents chaos to you. Well, clean it up physically, clean it up spiritually, clean it up in the area of emotions and creating different levels of memories in that area, and then protect it from there on out. What do y'all hear me saying? How to just connect? I'll go ahead and pause. I'll take a drink as we're moving forward. And thank y'all for talking to me. All right, we'll keep that thing moving. So we'll move on to location number 2. And I'll check back if you're talking, because I know there's a little bit of a lag as far as me being live and you guys typing. So don't worry about it. I'm live. I'm watching it. So I'm doing a whole lot of looking down because I'm actually seeing your comments and stuff like that. So moving on to location number 2, we're talking about the places of touch. If somebody can put that in there in the comment section, the places of touch, that would be good. All right. The places of touch. Corlin, thank you. She says, for those who are just listening, that's good. We have the ability to shift any atmosphere. Absolutely. And that's not just in church, y'all. Right? And you have that thing goes anywhere. If you do not like something that you're sensing and feeling, we call this the perpetual transmutation of energy. Lanisha, help me make sure I said that correct. And that's that area we're realizing you have the power within oneness, within God, divine source. You have that it's a universal law that realizes that whatever it is, you have the power to shift that. So you can be in a place where it's low vibration, it's negative, it's that, and you can make the decision to shift at the moment. At the blink of an eye, you can shift that energy to a higher place. All right. So keep that in mind as we continue to move forward. The places of touch. Nah, I wasn't even thinking about the church. No, I got you, sis. No. No, absolutely. But that's true. And I specifically know Corlin's field. But this is public, so I won't go into all of the details of that. But I'll say that, being able to travel and doing different things in your careers, sometimes you got to shift that stuff. And you can't always go out there and be like, I'm going to go ahead and say it, right? You just got to go ahead and realize that within the power of the divine within you, you're like, you know what? I know what to go ahead and do. Some people don't realize you work in that thing. You're operating in a place by a thought, by a feeling, by a sense. The power within you comes into an alignment with somebody else, and you can have a whole lot of communication without saying anything at all. All right, are y'all with me on that? So I'm still on point. Location number 2, the places of touch. So here's a question for you, and I want you guys to think about this. All right. So what are the parts of your body and soul that respond most deeply to touch? Okay. And then how do you incorporate touch into your daily routine to nurture yourself? Put that in the comment. Put it in the comments. You nurture yourself. All right. How are you incorporating touch? All right. In your daily routine. All right. Do you have any kind of rituals or things like a self-massage, skincare routine, deep touch? What do you got? Put some things out there, because some people may not realize that there's power, there's healing, all that stuff. And I'm talking about the area of self. We'll talk about relationships right after this, but let's go with personal. Realize what touch is for yourself, right? there's times you might have to give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a massage. There's an area where you're realizing that I didn't even realize how much I do this, but there's an area where sometimes I'm like kneading in the middle of like my hand. In the area there, I've realized when there's times of being like anxious or anxiety, there's certain like self care things that I end up doing with my hands. I found myself, different places of moving my thumbs around. There's different levels. I found myself rubbing certain areas. Have you ever rubbed your legs or your knees during different times like that? It's all these things that are signaling, and it's amazing what God has designed the body to go ahead and do. Are y'all with me? And maybe you haven't been just made aware of that, but think about it and process that and see what really works for you. Epsom salt, warm blanket, love it. Epsom salt bath, a warm blanket. Yes. Let's keep going. Put some things out there. This is good, y'all. It really is. All right. We got to explore the physical and emotional power of touch. Not just the area of touch, but what does touch do? What does it do? Like, what does it do for you? How does that give you in an area of pleasure? All right. And we can go all the way with that. We can go from the area of just the aspect of even getting stress out of your body to an area of intimacy and even area of pleasure. Stay on with the after party. We'll go deep into all that stuff too as well. All right. All right. So let's move on a little bit. Let me check the comments real quick to see what y'all got going on. Okay. Honestly, hygiene, showers, changed my mood. I do body exfoliation, eye care. Yes. I'm surprised some of y'all female ladies ain't say your nails and different things like that, because that's a lot of touch as well. Not just the area of looking, but I remember, not too long ago, Lanisha and I were getting pedicures, manicures, different things like that. And I realized, man, just the area of dealing with my feet was very relaxing. And she put some type of scrub on it. She put some hot rocks, some different things like that. From time to time, we go ahead and put, we'll get a couples massage or get a massage, different things like that, do amazing things. Great. Dr. Sutton, how are you? She says, touch calms the nervous system and lowers the blood pressure. Now, y'all, that's from a real doctor that's on. So take note pertaining to that. It calms the nervous system and lowers the blood pressure. So let's keep going with that. I love it. Keep the comments flowing. Okay. So have you ever experienced touch in form of a spiritual connection? A spiritual connection. So we were talking a little bit about this, but I was just thinking about this as well. But far as touch in the form of a spiritual connection. So I thought about like holding hands, touching of the chest. I've thought about placing your hands on somebody's head, hugs, and there's so many more things that come. But as I was thinking about like holding hands and what that can symbolize, as far as like unity, connection, shared energy, and then I found out that the palm is considered the energy center for many spiritual traditions. And that's just so powerful for me. And even learned that too. If you like take your hands and like put them together, right, you'll start to feel a level of energy that's there. It's just so powerful to me. So you take that area of hand, and that's why we got to be careful too on how we use our hands to go ahead and bless, to praise, to be excited, to celebrate, right? But we've also used hands to do some different things, to defend and do things like that. But anyway, holding hands that really touched me far as that. I had an experience too, where somebody was praying for me, and they came and they touched my chest, and they put their hand over my heart area with the area of prayer, and that hit me in the area of like a heart chakra, and it just hit me like that center of love and compassion and empathy. And I don't know everything that this person was praying, but it hit in the area of like healing, like blessings. I could tangibly feel things, right? And even that person checked in on me the rest of the day and said, how you doing, so forth and so on. And I just asked, I said, when you were praying, were you praying about this, or were you thinking about this or whatever? Because this is what I experienced. And I would say this too, respectfully, don't let everybody lay hands on you and touch you and do different things like that, right? But I trust this individual, and I know that that's nothing but good, great, and awesomeness that they pray and flow to and through. And so that hit as me as an area as well. Sometimes we lay hands on somebody's head, and that's a symbol of blessings and healings as well. But there's actually spiritual energy that is transferred as well, as we're able to go ahead and do that and send energy and send love and send high vibrational thoughts and feelings pertaining to that. And then the uniqueness of like the hug. Woo, that thing hit me in a unique way too, because that's one of the most intimate forms of like physical connection, because it kind of offers that area of like comfort, support, like love, and it's multiple things that come on there. And I like to be transparent pertaining to that. So I embraced my good thing today and gave her a hug. And you're here watching, so you can let me know what you felt. But I know I felt something all in my alignment pertaining to that. And I'm not just talking about on the sexual side, even though it happens all the time as well with my beautiful wife. However, I literally felt the area of a connection, and we hadn't, for reasons I won't get into right now. Just nothing unhealthy, but it's just an area of hadn't been hugging. And so we had hugged today, and it was just the touch, just the embrace, right? And that's why even when when we had the whole shutdown and everything else, so people weren't able to hug and touch and different things like that, you can see people who really thrive and really are able to get recentered through touch, have went through some low times. And sometimes you can rob somebody from there. Sometimes a rub on the back, sometimes a hug, sometimes just the physical area of that, not only just on an individual base, but also romantically, and also even with your children and your family, right? And then you can pay attention to those things. I remember with our boys growing up, younger, hug, this and this. As a matter of fact, even to this day, right? Now the youngest, he'll go up in the bedroom and he'll say goodnight and give a hug and a kiss. But all of them used to come in and give a hug and a kiss. But now that they got older, if y'all watching this by any chance, they stopped kissing dad and hugging dad so much. Now I get daps and different things like that. But every once in a while, I go grab them, kiss them on their forehead, and give them a hug anyway, and just hold them. And they try to pull back from it. But when you're just in the area of alignment pertaining to the spirit, and your alignment to the area of frequency and energy, you can see and sense that transfer. I can remember one of our kids, I don't know which one it was at this moment in time. I know who I'm visualizing, but anyway, that they had experienced a level of frustration. And it wasn't about my words. All I can do at that time was say, is come here, or went and took my hug, so to speak, right? And when I gave that hug and that embrace, you can just see some things shift. That's happened pertaining to even us in family. We had lost loved ones that had passed in our family, and sometimes the area of just hugging somebody. Sometimes you don't have the words to say, but a hug, a holding of a hand, all those things can work together as far as the area of touch. Okay. And so just wanted to touch that a little bit, see if y'all talking to me a little bit on here as it relates to the spiritual side of that. But sit with that, see what represents, what connects with you, what you embrace, what you enjoy, what you may even need to verbally communicate, because there may be some touch that you like, and some dealing with like a partner now, and some touch you don't enjoy. And you don't have to tolerate that. You can just, I can remember times I would grab Lanisha's, it wasn't her hand or something, but it would be something I did. And I remember she would like move my hand in this way, or move my hand that way, or this was too rough, or this is too soft, or this is that. And we got to communicate those things, because the area of pleasure, not every touch is a touch that's just going to be enjoyable. Do you know? Right? It could be area of sensitivity. That's what it was, because different things with her skin or whatever. And it was just like levels of sensitivity or whatever, where this might have hurt or this and that. So just being aware of what that is, and embracing that, and showing that patience and that love to deal with that level of intimacy. All right. So let's move on to an area, a little bit of the relationship aspect of it, relational intimacy, far as you and a partner, and how touch is a language of intimacy and relationships. All right. So how often do you think about the way you touch your partner physically and beyond just physical contact? Let's think about that while I take a sip. All right. Think about that. Let me see if y'all talking back to me. Okay. Think about how being mindful, like I talked about there, to where you're touching your partner and how that can strengthen an emotional bond. Like I said before, sometimes you don't have to say a thing, but a touch, a caress, a hug, rubbing your hand through her hair. I can just say her hair, right? Because you put your hand through these locks as well. But it's important too to have nonverbal communication through touch, and realizing that nonverbal communication, it can also enhance the trust, the intimacy, and that shared like deep pleasure. But it's the area of communication with that. All right. Cool. Let's continue on. So the third location is the position that maximize pleasure. The positions that maximize pleasure. I'm gonna tell you, on after party, I got a whole list of positions that maximize pleasure, and I am talking sexually, and I'm all the above. But you got to get to the after party to get access to some of that stuff. But we're gonna go as far as we can go right now. All right. This might have been for what y'all been waiting for. I don't know, but I light up. If you can see my energy and my aura, my shift when it starts to talk about these things. So have you explored different physical positions to discover what feels best for your body, either alone or with a partner? If you remember, Lanisha and I were talking about this a little bit last episode, when we're saying, how can you expect someone else to give you pleasure if you don't know what is pleasure to yourself, right? How do you, if you don't know the touch that you enjoy, if you don't know what takes you to that next level, if you're not aware of these things and what you like and dislike, so forth and so on, right? And then it could be an area where open to teaching a partner and teaching them and sharing that, communicating that verbally and non-verbally, right? But have you explored those physical? You don't got to put in the comment section if you've explored these positions or not. You can if you want to. I'm not going to hinder you from doing that, but just think about that. And in the area of communicating what that's like, there's many a times when Lanisha and I have had to have conversations relating to what we enjoyed, what we didn't enjoy, what was great, what was awesome, what we could try in a next time, another season, so forth and so on, and realizing what that looks like for us. There's times when we've had to know our bodies and then teach each other how to communicate to our bodies, and realizing this too, that the body and the touch change. So what may have been enjoyable in one season may not be enjoyable or pleasure in this season. Does that make sense? Have y'all been there with me? Okay. I see why you asked me to log on. I'm done. I know exactly who that is. Okay. So, and that's being open. And I think too, like I said before, we don't talk about intimacy and different things like that, like a whole lot, but I think we should do it more, because the frequency, the vibration, what the energy around sex, the energy around love, is so high on a place and potent of the place of manifestation and to things that are in our lives. It's like it's something that God has given us that can continue to just bless God, bless man, and be able to move forward in those areas. So as you're thinking about these things, as you're processing this, the area of enjoyment, right? We have to start with self. right? And then we come from the area where, because there's relational duties, right? There's an area where I can please my wife and she can please me. But then sometimes we can put some pressure on your spouse or your partner to go ahead and be doing some things that, again, you haven't taken the time to examine for your own self. So let's do both. Let's realize what that looks like and what that entails, and continue to communicate those things as they shift and change. This position was comfortable. It was great. It was awesome. It was wonderful in your 20s. Now in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s or so forth and on, it ain't the same thing. Communicating those things. It's amazing to me how many times we talk about things, but we won't talk about the area of intimacy or sex or relationship or different things like that, right? Even how you talk, communication and tone, all those things. They make they mean a world of a difference as we move forward within that. All right. So, any questions or concerns from there? Let's continue to roll with that. So, I asked you how. Are you in the area of exploring positions in the area of intimacy to go ahead and enhance that communication and that with the partner, but also are you discussing how to deeper your emotional and energetic connections during the level of intimacy? Like, are you even in a place of being intimate, whether it's a kiss, whether it is you all the way going there? Are you able to reflect on what's happening spiritually, energetically within that time? And the I'll just say it, the blessing of all that is taking place within that, right? The area of the alignment, the connection that you have with someone, right? The oneness that takes place pertaining to there. It's so many spiritual aspects of it. We talk about the area of oneness pertaining to, universal law, pertaining to God, divine source, love, being there, all that there is. There's an area of oneness there. But when you're coming together with someone, that's the area of oneness, right? On all levels pertaining to that. And so as you're in that place of oneness, there's communication, there is emotion, there is thrill, there's pleasure, there's joy. There may be even some uncomfortable places and realignments where you have to shift positions and shift thoughts and shift different things to align to be in that frequency. And then again, when you get to that place of releasing that pleasure or orgasmic sensations as you continue to move forward, there are things that are released in the body that aid in the area of healing, aid in the area of joy, aid in the area of clearing chakras and different things like that, so that you're able to get a different level of clarity and a different level of just peace. And sometimes I believe we just need to just sit in that place of ecstasy, sit in that place of bliss, and just receive and just Y'all quiet on me? Ain't no yes, I agree, amens. I love it, man. I really do. I love it. So what I want you to do is be open to new positions. And that's not just sexually, obviously, but even looking at the area of the location of touch, the location of the environment, and what is being set, how all your senses come into play. For smell, connected to pleasure. Taste, that's connected to pleasure, right? Hearing, music. We even talk about music. Music can take you there. Come on, somebody. Thank you, sis, on the I agree. Music can take you there, right? Your words, how you think and believe about self, the area aspect of love. See, here's another part that hits my heart too, where I want to encourage us to continue as high impact, emerging leaders as we're moving forward in this, is that love of self. We can't skip that. right? To just focus on, and I think sometimes we focus on even the area of pleasure. I'll be transparent. Y'all know I'll be the first one to come to that. I'll focus on maybe area of intimacy, pleasuring my wife, pleasuring Lanisha, where it's not just because that gives me, okay, I'm able to pleasure my wife, I'm able to do this, but that can also go into an area of ego, right? And then sometimes you can give, and then not learn how, not really do well at receiving, or being in a place of comfort. Sometimes it's power, sometimes it's an area of control where you got to feel like you're in charge, so forth and so on. But being in a place of intimacy, being in a place in love, and realizing that you love yourself, that God loves you, and you're within that area of oneness, and that you are able to experience, and don't rob yourself from the unfolding within on that level, to go to a higher place with God, and God, as you're flowing and communicating and oneness with your partner, and oneness with your family, and oneness in the area with your business. But don't skip over the self-love aspect of realizing that you got to know even your own touch. I don't know what Lanisha said no to, so I that just came up, so I don't know, but let me know, babe, what you saying. All right, so does that make sense? Is there any questions or anything that you are, it just hit your heart and your mind? You're like, look, at this moment in time, that makes sense. However, I have a question around this, or I have a thought around this, or anything that you want to drop in the area of the comments, go ahead and do that. I'll read that off, address that. But we are going to prepare to jump on the after party. Where I said I have this whole list. Let me see if I can have that so you make sure. Yeah, positions to enhance intimacy, different things like that, right? I'll just give y'all one real quick, just to let y'all know, just that we got there. But this face-to-face sitting, and it's talking about an area of sitting face-to-face with your legs intertwined and on each other's laps. And it looks at the area, the benefits of this position can allow for deep eye contact, connection, and intimacy, how you can communicate verbally and non-verbally, enhancing the emotional experience while exploring each other's bodies. That's one of many that I have, just a little freebie there for you. But have you ever just sat and looked in your partner's eyes? And if you say, no, I'm not even on the romantic side, that's cool. It's cool. Have you sitting there and looked in your child's eyes, or in somebody else's eyes? Do you see there's a whole story that can be taking place with just look, right? There's power in that. And I would encourage us even to have some more different levels of eye contact, and being able to be sensitive to what you're feeling and sensing and seeing, and then connecting from the divine within, and having that inspired divine inspired right action to be able to just flow as you're feeling compelled to move forward, and not rob yourself from that experience. Some people fear rejection, some people fear embarrassment or anything else like that. But I'm telling you, as we're looking at an area of realizing that pleasure, the pleasure is all mine. It starts with the area of me and God and us, and realizing that oneness in that place. So I get to now express, I get to now release, I get to share what already is of and pleasure within myself. Meaning, I'm not just going to somebody else just so I can be in the area of pleasure, because it starts with the area of it's all mine, it's within me. Does that make sense? Right? Like, I all by myself can, and so I get to be at that place where now I'm fully 100%. Lanisha and I said this before, it's not 50% and 50% that come together. It's 100%. There's nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken within you and around you, amongst you. You are fully capable, and there is just continued of awakening. There's a continual reminders of who you truly are. There is constant learning and unlearning that's taking place for us to continue to vibe high, but you have what you need. And so as you're remaining comfortable, becoming comfortable and just really expressing who you are, be in touch with the area of all aspects of what pleasure is. And for some of you, again, it's a walk in the park. park. It's being in the area of nature. It's trying some new things. It's dealing with this. It's spicing it up a little bit in the bedroom or whatever the case, whatever it may be. Like, just realize that there's power that's taking place from there, and let's not treat it intimacy, love, pleasure just from a what is the word that I'm looking for? Just maybe what we have learned by society, culture, world, and different things. Not that it's bad, but it can be so much more, right? It's so much more within those things. What if I told you that as you're at that place of pleasure, that is the best place to be having affirmative prayer. That is the best place to showing gratitude. That is the best place to visualize things that you are desiring or seeing for your future, for your now. That's the best place to be, right then and there, because you're not in a place of lack. You're not in a place of scarcity. You're not in a place of fear or torment. You're in a place of abundance that you already are, right? That area, that inner tugging that's leading and guiding for you to go ahead and move forward. So I want to encourage you in this time and place to realize that the pleasure is all mine. And as I am cooperating with the divine, then I can have pleasure with self. I can have pleasure in God, with God, as God flowing through. I have pleasure in the area of business, pleasure in the area of ministry, pleasure in the area of my spouse, my partner. As I'm moving forward, there's pleasure forevermore. And at any given time and moment, as I'm understanding the taste, I'm understanding the feel, the smell, the vibration, the frequency, realizing that as I'm operating, as I'm thinking, so man, thinketh in his heart, so is he. As I'm thinking in the areas of pleasure and experiencing it, and I'm at that place, then guess what? That's going to be a cause and effect that's going to take place, right? There's going to be some correspondence from God, from the universe, that's going to take place. And if you don't, and you're not enjoying pleasure and a life full of pleasure at this moment in time, then I would encourage you to look within and really see what you have to deal with and operate from that place. My man Soyaka said, just be. Yes, just be. Being in a place of really realizing that my life is the life of God. And because God is beauty, I am beauty. Because God is love, I am love. Because the divine is patience, I am patience. Because source is pleasure, I am pleasure. And I'm making that choice every single day when I get up to breathe in grace and to release gratitude as we're continuing to move forward in this life and journey of pleasure forevermore. So Elevation Nation, we are going to hop on the after party. The link is in our description. I'll also post it in the chat right now if you want to go ahead and join us. And then for the rest of us, if you haven't taken the time to go ahead and watch last week's episode, I want you to go ahead and stick around for last week's episode where Lanisha and I, where we come from the area of divine pleasure. Divine pleasure. All right. So this has been a pod series. Make sure you check them out and continue to go ahead and move forward within that. Any questions, anything from there? We also have our email out there. We would love to connect with you. You can join Elevation Nation. The opportunities of coaching, that's there as well. We have some amazing people and leaders that are on here that will also be on the podcast and have been on the podcast. And so we're grateful for that. Tonight has been amazing. You are amazing. And we just wish you nothing but peace, joy, love. And so I'll jump on with you guys for the after party. And for the rest of you, we will see you very soon. All right. Appreciate you.